Welcome. Tonight, you're invited to leave the modern world behind. Let your breath slow, and your mind drift gently, to a place of stillness and simple beauty. Tonight, we'll take a quiet journey through the rhythms of a single day. In a Zen monastery, tucked away in the forested hills of medieval Japan, time moves differently there. The wind through the pines speaks in whispers. The footsteps fall gently upon smooth stone. And every moment is a step toward clarity, not urgency. There is no rush here. No need to hurry. Only calm. So take a deep breath in. Let it go slowly. And close your eyes if you'd like. As we begin, a quiet morning is just starting to unfold. The monastery sleeps under a soft, gray-dawn mist. It is the early 1300s. Nestled deep in the pine-covered mountains of the Yamashiro province, the Zen temple rests like a stone in a stream, still and timeless. A gentle hush covers everything. The first sound is not loud. It is not abrupt. It is deep, resonant. A bell. One clear tone, struck with slow intention, echoes from the shoro, the wooden bell tower. Dong. It rings across the courtyard, through the paper-walled dormitories, and over the lotus pond near the meditation hall. In the monk's dormitory, the soto, the first stirrings begin. Tatami mats rustle. Faint movements. No talking. The monks rise with practiced stillness, careful not to disturb the calm of the room. There is no alarm clock. Only the bell. And the understanding that the day begins not with urgency, but with presence. Each monk folds their futon quietly. The bedding is thin, just cotton sheets and straw padding. Everything is placed back neatly into its place. The room returns to its earlier state of harmony. They do not rush. They do not yawn loudly or stretch with exaggerated motions. Instead, they move like leaves drifting to the ground, slowly, without fuss. Before breakfast. Before meditation. Before even the first chant. There is washing. It is not a hot bath or a long soak. Just a simple ritual. A basin of cold water. A wooden ladle. And silence. Each monk kneels by the stone trough that runs along the edge of the building. The water has been drawn from the stream that flows beside the temple grounds. It is fresh, and biting cold. One ladleful is poured gently over the hands. Then another over the face. A pause. A slow breath. No scrubbing. Just presence. It is not about cleanliness, not entirely. It is about clarity. Beginning the day by waking the body. And quieting the mind. They dry their hands with small cloths. Fold them again. And return them to their robes. Their sandals make soft creaks as they step across the stone walkway. The scent of cedar wood lingers in the morning air. Some birds have begun to stir in the branches above. But still, no voices. Only the natural world. And the internal one. Now comes the walk. To the zazen the meditation hall. It is not far. Just a few short steps across the gravel courtyard. But the walk itself is not a transition. It is a practice. Hin, they call it. Walking meditation. One breath per step. The foot rises slowly. Moves forward. And rests down with care. There is no destination more important than the step being taken. The robes of the monks flutter faintly with the breeze. They walk in single file, heads gently bowed. The gravel crunches rhythmically beneath their feet. Not sharply, just enough to mark their passage through the world. In the zazen hall, cushions are already placed. Perfectly spaced. Each facing the wall, not the center, not a teacher, not a shrine. For in Zen, the practice is not to look outward, but inward. They take their seats. cross their legs into half lotus or seiza, depending on their ability. Their hands fold into the cosmic mudra, resting gently in their laps. The bell sounds again. Dong. One tone. And then, stillness. The air inside the meditation hall is cooler than outside. The walls are bare, only the subtle grain of the wood, darkened by decades of incense. The floorboards are clean, but not polished. They creak softly when stepped upon. But now, no one moves. This is zazen, seated meditation. Not a trance. Not an escape. But simply, sitting. Eyes half open. Breath natural. Mind observing. There is no mantra. No visualization. Only the moment, this moment, whatever it is. Thoughts come. Thoughts go. And the monk sits, like a mountain. Some breathe through the nose quietly. Others follow the slow rhythm of their heartbeat. Even in silence, the room is alive with subtle presence. The bell rings again after 40 minutes. Another slow bow. Another still moment. The monks rise as they sat, with intention, not hurry. And now, the morning meal awaits. The silence continues. But now, it begins to shift. From stillness to service. In a small side building near the zazen hall, a pair of monks move quietly within the kitchen, the curry. The kitchen is simple. A clay hearth for fire. Wide wooden tables, worn smooth from years of use. A few shelves lined with baskets of rice, soybeans, and root vegetables harvested from the garden. The air here is warmer. Scented faintly with toasted barley and miso from the night before. No commands are given. No recipes followed. Each monk knows their task through repetition. One monk washes a bowl of rice in a wooden tub. The grains are stirred in circles by hand, rinsed again, until the water runs clear. Another monk stokes the fire with pine wood. It crackles softly. The iron pot above it begins to warm. Steam rises. And the morning takes form. This first meal is not a feast. It is ochazuke, rice with broth. Sometimes, if the garden has been kind, a few pickled plums or radish slices are added. There is no excess. Only what is needed. The meal hall, or jikido, is quiet. Shoji doors slide open softly. Monks enter in single file. Each carries a set of bowls, neatly wrapped in cloth, their oryoki. These are not ordinary dishes. They are tools of mindfulness. Each bowl nests inside the next, like a small universe of simplicity. They take their places on the floor, seated in straight lines. There is no talking. Only ritual. First, a bow to the meal. Then, slowly, the bowls are unwrapped. The cloths are folded just so, and placed beside the lap. A server monk walks between the rows with a ladle and kettle. He serves each portion silently. One scoop of rice. One pour of broth. Then, the meal begins. Together. Every motion, lifting the bowl, bringing it to the lips, chewing, swallowing, is done with attention. There is no glancing around. No comparing plates. No rush to finish. This is not merely eating. It is part of the practice. When finished, warm water is poured into the bowl to rinse it clean, using one's chopsticks as a guide. The rinsed water is drunk as well, so that nothing is wasted. The bowls are dried, wrapped again, and placed neatly away. Then, with a bow, the monks rise. And another bell sounds, light this time. High and gentle, like the call of a bird. The morning sun now begins to warm the stones. The mist has lifted slightly. The air is fresh, touched with pine and earth. It is now time for Samu, the work period. But this is not labor in the way you may think. It is not a burden. It is an extension of the same mindfulness practiced during meditation and meals. The tasks vary. Some monks tend to the vegetable garden, gently pulling weeds among the neat rows of daikon and shiso. Others sweep the gravel paths with handmade brooms, each sweep deliberate, slow, and precise. Still others clean the wooden floors of the temple halls, working barefoot, using damp cloths and steady rhythm. There is no competition, no supervision, and no need for praise. Work is done for its own sake. A monk polishing a wooden rail does not wonder who will notice. He polishes because it is part of the way, because it is what the moment calls for. The tools are simple, the surroundings humble, but the spirit clear and full of quiet energy. Even a single weed removed with care becomes a form of meditation. After the work, there is a pause. Not a break, but a breath. Some monks gather by the edge of the koi pond, their feet tucked beneath them. Others sit beneath the trees, watching the light dance upon the leaves. Conversation is rare, but not forbidden. If words are spoken, they are soft and few. More often, there is shared silence, a presence held between people without the need to fill it. One monk notices a butterfly landing on the edge of a lotus leaf. Another traces the flight of a crane overhead with his eyes. These small moments are not distractions. They are teachings. The wind becomes a teacher. The sound of water trickling through the bamboo pipe, shishi-adoshi, becomes a teacher. To live in the monastery is to learn to see. And so, they sit and see and breathe. As the sun climbs slowly across the sky, and shadows begin to soften, the monastery enters its next rhythm. A new form of stillness, one with sound. In the heart of the temple grounds stands the Butsudan, the Buddha hall. Its wooden steps are smooth with age. Inside, it holds no gold, no elaborate decoration. Only the statue of the Buddha, carved from dark wood, seated in stillness. The hall fills with soft footfalls as monks enter. They line up and rouse, their robes rustling gently like leaves. Then, the chanting begins. Low, even, resonant. The sutras are ancient. Lines of sacred verse recited not for performance, but for practice. The sound rises slowly, then falls, like waves washing against the shore. No one voice dominates. Each joins the other. A sea of steady syllables. Some chants are just a few verses. Others last many minutes. But time here does not matter. The words are not meant to be understood with the mind, but absorbed through the breath, felt through the bones. The vibrations fill the wooden hall like incense. And just like incense, they eventually fade, leaving behind a hush. After chanting, the monks return outdoors. But not for rest. They return to the Grace-en-Suite, the dry landscape garden. You may know it as the Zen rock garden. But it is not merely decoration. Here, white gravel has been raked into slow, circular patterns. Dark stones, of varying shapes, rise like mountains from a sea. There are no flowers, no fountains, no color beyond earth and stone. A few monks take turns maintaining the patterns. With long wooden rakes, they trace each arc carefully, following yesterday's lines, or beginning a new design. There is no set rule, only clarity, only care. Each movement is steady, each breath long. Other monks sit on the edge of the walkway, simply watching, not analyzing, just observing. The raked lines seem to ripple like water. The stones, heavy and motionless, feel somehow alive. The garden does not ask to be understood. It only asks to be seen. Time passes slowly here. In silence. In presence. Later in the afternoon, a simple pot is set to boil. Not for a formal tea ceremony. Just for quiet tea. A monk prepares the sencha, loose-leaf green tea. It is steeped briefly in small clay pots. Then poured into handleless cups, resting in cupped hands. A few monks sit beneath a maple tree near the edge of the compound. The leaves above them rustle faintly. Some have begun to turn yellow and orange with the season. They sip. Not as refreshment, but as presence. The taste is slightly bitter. Grassy. Alive. No sweets are served. Only the tea. And the afternoon light. A pair of birds flit across the garden wall. A bamboo leaf falls gently beside one of the cups. No one reacts. No one comments. They simply witness. As the tea ends, the wind rises ever so slightly. It sighs through the pines. It brushes over the tiled rooftops. And it moves through the monks' robes like a gentle hand. This moment, the soft wind in the late afternoon, is one that is often remembered long after leaving the monastery. Because it carries no lesson, no teaching, only being. A bell chimes softly in the distance. The leaves respond with a whisper. The stones remain unmoved. A monk walks slowly along the outer path of the compound, carrying a small bundle of firewood. Another kneels by the lotus pond, adjusting a bamboo spout so that water will fall more smoothly. Even these small acts are full of care. And the wind, still moving, wraps it all together in silence. As the afternoon deepens, the monastery returns to quiet. The monks begin to gather once more in the meditation hall. Not for sitting this time, but for simple stillness before evening. Shoji doors slide shut behind them. The low sun casts long stripes of light across the tatami. There is no schedule now. No ritual to complete. Only space to return to. Some monks kneel. Some remain standing. Some breathe with eyes closed. And in this pause, before evening falls, there is a kind of stillness that words cannot reach. Only experience. Only breath. Only now. Outside, the light softens. The sun lowers behind the forested ridges. Its golden rays stretch longer across the courtyard, painting the stones with amber and bronze. The monks are now shadows moving between buildings, still quiet, still gentle. But their day has begun to draw inward. One by one, the small oil lamps in the hallways are lit. Each lamp is simple. A clay bowl. Cotton wick. A few drops of sesame oil. The flame is small, flickering softly. It throws a warm, dancing light across the paper walls. The shadows move with it, breathing gently. The halls begin to glow from within. Not brightly, but enough to see, enough to feel warm. Outside, the air cools. The cicadas quiet. And the pines begin to sway with the soft breath of night. As the last of the sun slips behind the hills, a soft bell sounds once more. Not the deep bronze tone of the morning, but a lighter, higher chime, like a breath-made sound. The monks gather in the sutra hall again. Their steps are slow. Their presence grounded. Evening chanting begins. But this time, it is gentler, lower, as if spoken for the stars, not the world. The sutras are short, just a few verses, recited slowly, with reverence. Each syllable carries the weight of the day, and gently releases it. The candles flicker on the altar. A faint curl of incense smoke winds its way upward. The scent of sandalwood mixes with the night air. When the chanting ends, the monks bow deeply. Once to the Buddha. Once to the hall. And once to each other. These bows are not gestures. They are moments of surrender. of gratitude, of letting go. Dinner is not grand. In fact, it is nearly silent. The monks return to the meal hall. Their footsteps are softer now. Their bodies slower. As if even movement is preparing for rest. The final meal of the day is simple. A thin vegetable soup made from radish greens. A small portion of brown rice. And perhaps a strip of preserved kelp. There is no second serving. And no waste. Every bite is savored. Eaten with care. And once again, in silence. The monks sit in stillness after the meal. Not rising immediately. But allowing the food to settle. Their bowls are washed and wrapped. Folded into the same cloths they have used for years. The room empties slowly. As one by one. They return to the night. After dinner, some monks take a final walk through the garden. Not all. Just a few. Their steps are slow. Unhurried. Barely audible against the stone path. The garden has changed now. Its color is muted. Its shadows deeper. A stone lantern glows faintly near the pond. The reflection of the moon ripples on the water's surface. A frog sings in the reeds. The monks do not speak. They do not nod. They do not even need to acknowledge each other. The walk is for peace. Not for companionship. There is a quiet understanding. That this moment is enough. Eventually, they return. Back to the Soto, the sleeping quarters. Each monk finds his place. The futons are thin, already laid out from earlier. The air is cool. And very still. There is no candlelight now. Only the faintest glow of the moon through the paper windows. Robes are folded. Belts undone. Everything in its place. There is no need for words. No need for good night. Only the creak of floorboards. The rustle of cloth. And the steady, deepening rhythm of breath. At last. One final sound. The night bell, the ban sho, is rung once. A single note. Deep and slow. It does not wake anyone. It does not startle. It lingers in the air like mist. A reminder of the day. And an invitation to release it. The stars above the temple begin to emerge. One by one. And below. In this monastery nestled in the hills. Stillness rests over everything. The pine trees stand motionless. The gravel paths silent. The lanterns flicker once, and then are gone. Sleep has arrived. Not just to the monks, but to the whole temple itself. Now, the temple sleeps. Its wooden walls creak quietly in the breeze. Its halls are dark, but not cold. Not forgotten. Just resting. Even the koi in the pond move less now. Their bright shapes drifting slowly through moonlit water. The bamboo stalks sway gently, whispering to each other. Above it all, the stars shine without flickering. Just steady. Present. Like the monastery itself. Within the dormitory, the monks lie still. Their breathing is soft. Steady. Slow. No one turns restlessly. No one speaks in sleep. The practice of the day has woven itself into every movement. Even into rest. Sleep is not a break. Not something separate. It is part of the path. If the monks dream, their dreams are not of cities or noise. Not of wealth, or hunger. But of wind in the trees. Of footsteps on smooth stone. Of ripples in a cup of tea. There is no hurry in these dreams. No need to arrive anywhere. The day has already been lived with presence. What comes after is just drifting. A soft bell in the mind. A stream flowing around a bend. A bird lifting silently into dawn. And even these things fade. as sleep deepens, like mist descending through branches. There is no need to return. No alarm clock waits. No pressing thought must intrude. This story, this monastery, exists outside of time. It has no beginning, no end. Only moments, like breaths, flowing into each other. Each step, each bow, each sip of tea, was the whole of life, lived completely. And now, as your eyes drift heavier, and your mind grows quieter, you, too, are welcome here. You, too, can rest. There is nothing more to do. You have already arrived. Now, dear listener, you have walked beside the monks. You have listened to the bell, felt the gravel under your feet, watched the moon rise over temple roofs. And now, there is only the quiet. Let your breath become slow. Let your thoughts dissolve like smoke in wind. Let your body become still. There is no need to listen anymore. No more words to follow. Only the sound of the night, and the feeling of rest. Sleep, now. Like the monastery. Silent. Complete. At peace. The first sign of spring is not loud. It is not a sudden bloom, but a shift in the breeze. The pine needles begin to release their winter stillness, and the scent of thought earth rises faintly from the temple paths. In a shaded corner of the monastery garden, a plum tree begins to bud. Tiny blossoms, pale pink and white, open slowly, as though awakening from long sleep. The monks do not mark spring with celebration. There are no lanterns or parades. Only observation. A monk sweeping the stone steps may pause to notice a single petal falling onto his broom. Another may watch a bee linger near a leaf for just a moment longer than yesterday. In the temple kitchen, the first bamboo shoots are gathered. Thin, pale green, and slightly sweet. They are boiled with care. Served simply, in a shallow bowl, with a pinch of salt. The wind softens. The rains become warmer. The sounds of the temple, footsteps, bells, the creak of floorboards, take on a lighter tone, as if the world itself is beginning to smile. Summer does not shout here. It arrives in hush, with the sound of dripping eaves and frogs calling in distant fields. The temple tiles grow slick with rain. A fine steam rises from warm stone after each afternoon shower. Moss thickens along the base of the outer wall, turning the edges of the world a deeper shade of green. During this time, the monks slow even further. The robes become lighter. Sometimes they are washed in the river and hung in the open air, swaying gently on bamboo poles. Evening meditations are moved to the veranda, where cool air flows freely through open shoji screens. Cicadas buzz in long, steady choruses, a rhythm of life that pulses like breath through the valley. Inside the kitchen, thin noodles are prepared cold, served with dipping sauce, and garnished with shiso leaves fresh from the garden. The rains come and go. The sun peeks through wet clouds, and the world breathes in the fullness of the season. Autumn arrives with a whisper, a crackling leaf beneath a sandal, a red tint in the maple tree by the stone basin. The days shorten. The air cools. But the monks do not hurry. They begin to harvest the last of the garden. Daikon, burdock, and taro are pulled gently from the soft ground, stored carefully in baskets, handled with gratitude. The meals become warmer now. Thick miso soups, roasted roots, hot tea sipped slowly beside the garden wall. Leaves fall steadily from the trees, covering the stone paths in reds, yellows, and rust. Each morning, a monk sweeps them, only to find more gathered by the next sunrise. He does not mind. In Zen, even the falling of leaves has its season. Even sweeping what will fall again is a form of presence. The bell sounds deeper in the cooler air. The smoke from incense curls more slowly. And the moon appears earlier in the sky each night, a quiet watcher above the wooden eaves. Winter is the monastery's quietest season. Snow falls slowly over the rooftops, piling in soft waves along the stone lanterns and wooden steps. The pines bend slightly under the weight, but do not break. Everything slows. Even the birds fall silent. Even the bells sound more muffled, as if wrapped in white cloth. Inside, the monks wear layered robes. They gather by small charcoal braziers, warming hands between periods of zazen. Their breath curls upward in little clouds, vanishing like thoughts in meditation. The meals are simple: steamed rice, pickled vegetables, hot broth. A shared warmth. Snow is brushed from the wooden walkways. And sometimes, monks walk barefoot across the cold floor, feet calloused and used to hardship, yet at peace. Nothing stirs loudly. Even the wind holds its breath. Winter is not an end. It is a silence that deepens the root. It is rest. And so, the monastery moves with the world. Spring awakens. Summer lingers. Autumn lets go. Winter rests. But through all of it, one thing never changes: stillness. In every season, the monks sit. They walk slowly. They sweep the same paths. The world around them transforms, but the practice remains. You see, Zen is not about escaping the seasons. It is about entering them completely. Feeling the first bud open. Hearing the rain on the roof. Tasting the tea grown from the soil outside the door. It is not about leaving time behind, but living within it, fully. And now, as you rest, you are part of that rhythm too. You have felt spring's breeze, summer's rain, autumn's rustle, winter's hush. You have walked the seasons, without ever having to move, in one quiet corner of the monastery. There is no chanting, no sweeping, only the soft sound of a needle passing through cloth. This is the robe room, a small wooden chamber, lit by morning light, where monks mend their own garments. They do not own many clothes. A single robe, perhaps two, each one carefully kept, reinforced with small patches, not hidden, but visible, a mark of time, care, and humility. The sewing is slow, intentional. Each stitch is a breath. One monk, older than the rest, shows a novice how to fold a cloth just so, how to guide the needle without piercing the outer layer. They do not speak, only gesture. Outside, the wind sighs softly through the bamboo. Elsewhere, there is a different rhythm. A rhythmic grinding, stone against stone, as a monk prepares ink. A shallow black inkstone is filled with a splash of clean water. A solid ink stick, made of soot and resin, is slowly rubbed in circles. Around, and around, and around, until the water darkens, becomes liquid shadow. The monk then dips a brush, made of bamboo and soft hair, into the ink, and begins to copy a sutra onto aged paper. His hand does not tremble. The characters are elegant, but not flashy. Each one is a form of meditation. Sometimes, he pauses, not because of fatigue, but to listen. To the birds, to the wind, to the nothing. Even in silence, something is always being said. The monks also mend more than robes. They care for tools, sandals, lanterns, and temple walls. Not because things must be perfect, but because they are worth caring for. One monk gently sands a cracked wooden bowl. Another tightens the rope on a bamboo broom. A younger monk oils the hinges of the bell tower, careful not to disturb the sparrows nesting nearby. This is work, but it is not noisy. It is not rushed, and it is not seen as separate from meditation. Each task is done with full presence, fully here, fully now. This is Zen. To care, to notice, to honor the ordinary. Even in the smallest repair, there is something sacred. The sky begins to darken. Lanterns are lit. And the monastery prepares for sleep. Inside the meditation hall, monks return one last time to sit. The stillness deepens. Candles flicker. A breath. A bell. It is the final bell of the day, rung softly, once. No one speaks. The world is allowed to rest. Outside, moonlight spills across the stones. Crickets sing. And the mountain air grows cool. Some monks retire to their quarters. Others remain, sitting in silence until their eyes gently close. There is no ceremony. No command to sleep. Only the quiet rhythm of life itself, drawing the curtain across another day. And now, as you lie here, perhaps already fading into dreams, you have walked an entire day in the life of a Zen monk. You have risen before dawn, sat in silence, tasted tea brewed from mountain water, watched the seasons change in a single breath. And now, you rest, in the quiet of the monastery's heart. There is nothing left to do, no goal to chase, no thought to untangle. Only breath, and stillness, and the peace that comes when the world no longer asks you to move. Let it all fade now. The temple stones. The candles glow. The wind in the trees. You are safe. You are held. And you are deeply, gently at rest. Good night.